I'm Thomas, and this is my project for the next several days. I'm returning this old, well, not so old, Power Wheels F-150 Raptor into something that looks like this. That's right, I'm going to be making a Halloween costume out of it. The Transformers G1 character Trailbreaker. Right now I'm just going to be poking around on it, see if I can figure out how to take it apart. Paid 20 bucks for this thing yesterday. It's kind of funny. Brought it home in the back of my pickup, my real pickup that is red. So must have been kind of a funny sight for folks on the freeway. Let's bring it back from the foothills. I guess that's where the battery would go. It's got a tailgate that'll probably be bolting shut. It's also missing its Ford emblem, but I have a real Ford emblem in storage somewhere. I'll just be gluing on there, and I've got a guy that's going to be making some stickers for me for the Autobot emblem and, you know, some of the stuff that's peeled off, like these taillights. Or I might be able to order those online. But I'm just going to take it apart. You know, probably paint it a flat black. It's missing these hubs, but the guy that sold it to me is supposed to come along later. He had forgotten to give them to me, so he's going to bring them. Yeah, it's missing the two back ones, but it's got the front one still. I'm going to flip it over. So I'm not seeing... I know this has been unbolted already, so that'll come right off these seats, which I'll probably try to sell. There are a lot of folks that work on these things. I might be able to sell some of these parts to get some of my money back. But if not, I'm not too torn up about it. I only paid 20 bucks for it altogether. Oh, that's neat. A little shifter. It's even got cup holders. There's a fuse down there in the corner. I don't know if you can see it. Okay. Flip it over now. Because I'm not sure exactly how this thing comes apart. No, it's all one piece, it looks like. And, well, I was planning on having to cut it open. Got some rocks stuck here in one of the cracks, or the holes. Looks like it just, I know the motors are in the back, as he showed me. But this, yeah, these are free running. It's not a four-wheel drive like a real Raptor. Yeah. And I will be using the wheels in the costume, but I could sell the steering assembly probably. Okay, well, there's some screws there. Well, I'm gonna go get some tools and some backies and start taking this thing apart. So yeah, I got the hood up here. Looks like I'm gonna have to take these brackets off, take these screws off, get the hood off, and I'll probably when I paint this stuff, I'll probably paint these like I'm not sure how it is on a real Raptor. I think on the real Raptor this stuff is supposed to be a flat, but it could still use some paint because you can see it's pretty roughed up. Paint those a flat black, and then I was just gonna go flat black with the rest of it. I might go gloss black. I don't know. It's just gonna be tough because the windshield's also black, so I'm gonna need to find some way to make it contrast. I don't really want to go flat black on the windshield because that would just look silly. Glass back, at least, you know, it's kind of looks like it's tinted glass. So I don't know. Fortunately, I won't have to replace these. These are I didn't even notice when it was kind of dark when I brought it home. I didn't get this is my first. This is the first time I really got a good look at it because he had it in a garage and it was already kind of dusk when I went to pick it up. And it was crowded and I didn't get a real good look at it. And then by the time I got it home, it was already dark. So it's the first time getting a good look at it. And luckily, these headlights are like, look at those. That's some really neat detail. And I had these on Power Wheels when I was a kid. So anyway, TLDR, it's another pair of stickers I'm not gonna have to replace, just clean them up a bit, I guess. And then this, repaint. Yeah, everything's gonna have to be repainted, which is fine. You know, I was gonna have to paint, even if this thing was in perfect shape, I would have had to, which I wouldn't have wanted anyway. You know, I wanted to start with one that was kind of rough because I didn't have the money for one in good shape, first of all, and I didn't want to cut up one that some little kid could still ride. This one, the motors were burnt out, which is why it was only 20 bucks. So, yeah, a lot of repainting I've got ahead of me. First, I got to disassemble it. So going, okay, I got the grill and the headlights off. The screws are all in the bag. They're all the same size. I just wanted to do another quick, this isn't for the video, this is just to remind me that there are additional screws here. So let's take a look here. If it's the same size, I'll just put them in the bag with the others. It looks like it. Yep, same size. Obviously, the ones on each opposite side are going to be the same, so I'm just going to check one side of them. And yep, it's the same size. Okay. Okay, so apparently there are additional screws to get this part off. I don't know what to really call this part. It's kind of, on a real truck, it'd be, you got your bumper here, and then you got your firewall here, but on this thing, it's all one piece. So, looks like there are probably additional screws on the bottom. Let's take a look. Well, I see screws on that, but I'm not sure if I need to take those off to get it. I'm gonna venture a guess and say we do. All right, so I got that thing off at a skid plate. I'm not sure if I needed to take it off to get the, we'll just keep calling it the firewall, I guess. I took off the skid plate that was down here, you know, where the black, these black bits were in these slots here. I took those off, and I'm just, again, it's the same size screws. I think that's part of why these things are so popular to work on, is they're just so damn easy. Looks like they use the same screws to hold everything together. But I'm not sure. Let's see if the firewall will come off now. Looks like is there another screw here? Yeah, I think there's a screw on the corner. I'm gonna have to get back under it. Okay, I finally got the skid plate off. It was 2 screws here. They're mounted in perpendicular to the others. Again, same size. This is gonna be easier than I thought, putting it back together. Not sure if I actually needed to take the skid plate off to get it off, but for my purposes at least, it's probably best that I did. Just I'm gonna have to take it apart anyway to clean it and repaint it. I probably won't bother repainting this. It's not going to be really noticeable on the costume, and it's not even that faded anyway. I'll just, you know, wash it, I guess. Yeah, maybe repaint the tow hooks. We'll see. I guess my next step is to try to get the steering assembly off, which hopefully I can resell. I mean, cosmetically, this thing's pretty beat up. You know, I don't think I was going to really want the seats unless I repaint them, but the undercarriage, you know, there's probably somebody that's looking for a replacement part. We'll see. I guess next I have to try to get these wheels off so I can get the front steering off. As opposed to the rear steering, Thomas, the steering off. There's only one steering. It's not an early 2000s GMC or an early 90s Honda. All right, to get the steering assembly off, I think I'm gonna have to remove the center console because I'm not seeing any exposed screws on either side, the interior or the undercarriage. The only logical conclusion is that they must be hidden behind some panel, most likely the center console here, which is kind of neat. I just noticed that it had these, this is how modern toy it is. It's got the extra, I mean, obviously they're not functional, you know, they're just molded in the plastic. extra accessory ports to hook up your iPod or cell phone to charge. I don't think this little shifter does anything. That's just to play with. But I am impressed that it's got cup holders, though. You could fit a juice box in there. You know, I have trouble fitting my big gulp. You know, my Polar Pop from Circle K, but you fit a juice box in there. Cup of milk, whatever little kids are drinking these days. To get the center console off, I believe it looks like I've got it, you know, on its side. Obviously, I'm gonna have to pop these guys out, and these tabs too, I guess. I might have to go back inside and get a flathead. All I've got is a Phillips head out here. Getting this thing out is proving to be difficult. I don't know, I may still need to go get the flathead, but for sure I'm gonna go ahead and cut these motors free. They're burnt out anyway. I might have to do it individually. I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you're trying to restore one of these things, you know, if the motor's still good, you don't want to do this, but the guy said the motors are burnt out and I don't need them anyway, so away they go. It's hard to do this while filming. There we go. Okay. Yeah, these, luckily I'm going to be taking some TVs to get recycled this weekend, so I could probably just take these to the same place. One of these are, I'm just looking at these. I've never really taken one of these apart before, so I don't. This gear assembly appears to be proprietary, but this just looks like a normal motor. I don't know, maybe I'll take it apart and see if the motor assembly can be salvaged. He said it's just the motors themselves that were burnt out. You know, unless the gears inside of this thing are stripped, I don't see any reason why you couldn't reuse it. There's the other one. Looks like they're pretty much the same. I don't think they're. Obviously, they're wired together differently, but look like it's the same part. Looks like it's the same part. Some kind of, you know, I took the rear wheels off just to make my life a little easier. Something I noticed is down here it says Rojo. Oh, well, huh. It says Rojo on this. Okay, so yeah, it is red like I thought, but I wonder what the deal is on that. I know when I took the firewall off earlier that get into focus here. The sucker is built in Mexico, which first of all, it's kind of nice to know that, you know, not everything's made in China these days, even if it's not made in America. I wonder what the deal is with that. I imagine this truck was probably available in blue as well. But I don't think, if that's the case, why would they wouldn't use different molds, and B, it would say one or the other, wouldn't it? So I wonder what this is. Maybe it's some sort of color coding for the purpose of assembly, you know, to make this assembly. But that can't be right, because it's my understanding that when you buy one of these things new, they're usually not assembled. So I'll have to look that up later, see what the deal is. It's not really relevant to what I'm doing, or probably even for someone else who's taking one of these apart, but I don't know. I'm always curious when I see stuff like that. Alright, so I decided to take off the, kind of hard to tell because I got the sucker upside down, but this is where the accelerator's mounted. And I would not, if you're trying to restore one of these things, I would not recommend doing it the way I did it, which is I just peeled back this part so I could pop the tabs out. I would probably use like a hairdryer or a heat gun to heat it up, make it a little more pliable, but since I have no intention of making this thing a runner again, you know, I'm just basically using the shell and a few parts off of it to make a costume. I just broke them off. I did try not to damage the tabs of the accelerator assembly, though, the black part that you're going to see in a minute, because, you know, I might try to sell it. So let's see what we got on the other side. I decided to take the accelerator off because, as you can see, it's kind of a tight squeeze here, but part of the accelerator is actually molded into this center console piece. So yeah, like I said, it's kind of hard to see. There you go. Okay. I was gonna have to take it off anyway, to take off the center console, which I needed to take off to, I believe at least, I have to take it off to remove the steering assembly. So, pro tip, not that I'm a pro. Alright, I finally found the tabs for the center console. It's this area in here. I had to, it's the same deals. I had to kind of muscle them out. They were already a little chipped up anyway, so I just poked them out, managed to get them free. On to the next one. Oh, this little shifter does do something. Now that I think of it, he did mention something about it having multiple speeds, so maybe this is how you do it. Looks like, yeah, there are 3 switches in here. 1, 2, 3. So 2 of them are probably speeds, 1 of them is probably reverse. So yeah, it's another part that I can maybe sell. But before I do any of that, I gotta finish this assembly. There's a screw in here I'm gonna have to take off. Got the shifter out, which was 2 screws by the way, and while I was in there I found this thing. I don't know if this was a something that came with it or what the deal was, but the guy that sold it to me is gonna be stopping by sometime in the next few days to give me those hubs he forgot. I'll ask him about it. If it belongs to one of his kids, I'll just give it back. But yeah, it was just how long were these? And there are more wires here. I'm gonna have to. I wish maybe I shouldn't have clipped the motor off the way I did. I don't know. I guess I could. These. I'm looking at these again. It looks like, no, they're just, well, it does use connectors, but it looks like they're kind of soldered. Oh no, they're not soldered on. Okay, I can probably pop those off. Well, I'll do it sometime later. Just pop those off, and I've got some heat shrink. I can splice the wires back together. I'm back on the front end just because to get those. Go away. I had a schedule popping up. No, go, stupid notification. Okay. Man. Notifications keep popping up while I'm trying to film. I'm still getting used to this phone. I've only had it about a month. Okay. So yeah, I gotta pull these out to free the mess of wires you saw earlier. And to do that, I think I'm gonna have to take these screws off. I got the screws out. It turns out I was wrong. I didn't need to get the hood off. I didn't need to take this out. It just you can carefully just guide these little, here, I'll grab it. You just got to be careful, these little flag things will pass through here. You just, got to be gentle not to break it, especially if it's a truck like this that's been baking in the Arizona sun for a few years. But anyway, I still need to get that front end off to get to those wires. Actually, I might not need to. I had the wires, they go through here. I just lifted this thing out and they seem to be free. I'm just gonna push the wires through there, see if I can get them out that way. Okay, I see what I gotta do now. I gotta take off the windshield. And to do that, I gotta get these screws. This is all just one piece, it looks like. Pop that off. I should be able to feed the wires through now. It's never that easy, is it? There were only the 2 screws here, but as you can see, I can't really pull it off. There must be... Wait a minute, is this part of... No. For a second there, I thought maybe it was part of the door card piece. So yeah, I'm going to have to get back under it. Probably pop another tab. This thing, it's easy to work on and it's not easy to work on. It's easy to work on in that it seems to use the same size screws for everything, so it's easy to stay organized, but it's layered together like some sort of mechanical puzzle. So to get that windshield off, there in the center of the frame, you can see a couple of screws, screw posts. To get the screws out of those, which appear to be inside of the windshield or inside of the quote-unquote glass piece, I'm going to have to take off the mirror. And to do that, I'm going to have to take off these tabs. I don't know. I'll just plug away and document it as it comes. Well, time for some good news and bad news. The good news is I was wrong about that last part. It's not an interlocking mess. It does just pop you know, it was just another screw that I had missed. So there's one this side, and then obviously one that side. The bad news is, it looks like I am going to have to take out the steering column. And to do that, I don't know, I'll probably have to take off the steering wheel. Let's see. All right, I don't have to take out the steering wheel. I have to do it from the other end. This rod here is the steering shaft, steering column, whatever you want to call it. And there's a screw here on the other side of this end cap that you got to remove. And I guess I'll probably take out that screw, then I can take out the cap, then hopefully the shaft will pop right out. All right, so my hunch was correct, and as you can see, the dashboard's out. Part of this I will be using the windshield frame. Now that I'm looking at it, this appears to be the windshield is the same part as this. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I mean, obviously I'm not gonna need the steering wheel. I can sell that. Maybe I just won't bother painting this. Maybe I'll replace it with some clear plastic. On the other hand, I've got this guy right here, which is, besides being a structural part of it, also it's probably emulating this one part on the real Raptor. If I remember correctly, there is a bit of black cladding on there. So I don't know. Maybe I'll use it. Maybe I'll cut it up. Maybe I'll just use part of it and go with the clear piece. I don't know. I mean, I'm still not entirely sure how the front end of the truck is going to be oriented on the actual costume. In the actual Trailbreaker, and I'll put up another picture here. If I remember correctly, the grill is pointed down. I don't really want to do that because it sort of defeats the purpose of using a Power Wheels car. You know, I kind of want to show that, you know, hey, look what I did with this thing. You know, they won't really be able to see the detail on it. But at any rate, still not sure. I mean, I wasn't entirely sure what my plan was with this thing. I knew I was gonna, you know, be using the shell. Obviously, I knew that I was gonna be selling off what I, you know, didn't need, scrapping what couldn't be salvaged. But I also knew that I wouldn't really have a really good idea, you know, be able to start doing some drawings until I got it apart and see what I had to work with. So I don't know. Just keep going with the disassembly for now, I guess. Well, now here's something interesting. I was trying to disassemble the dashboard here, and I thought, well, you know, I could probably get a few bucks for this radio, but I'd have to test it, make sure it works first. You know, and I thought, well, how am I going to do that? I don't have didn't come with a battery. You know, then I got to thinking, well, how does this thing step down the even though it's not like, you know, AC power, it's still quite a few volts in one of these batteries to make this thing go. I had to think, well, how does it step it down for the radio? Because I didn't see anything that looked like a converter when I was poking around with the wiring harness. But as it turns out, this thing doesn't use the battery for the motor at all. It has these C cells in here. You know, obviously they've been sitting here a while. They started to corrode, not too badly. I could probably get this thing going. Well, these expired 20. Okay, so they're probably not terribly old. This truck probably was made about 5 years ago when the Raptor was new. I seem to remember that. I think, don't quote me on that. I believe 2013 was the year that the real Raptor came out. And these batteries, if they hadn't been sitting in the elements, would, you know, probably still be good. You know, if they hadn't sat in the elements, they probably ran dry too. So I don't know. The box isn't too corroded. I can probably clean it up and hopefully get it working again. These dials have had it, obviously, but maybe somebody's got one with good dials that just doesn't work anymore. I'm not sure what that does. I know some of these newer ones, they actually have a functional radio in them. I've seen ones that even have an aux, believe it or not. Not an aux input, but a you know, just a one-ended line coming out that you can plug into an MP3 player or CD player, whatever. This one though is, if it is a real radio, it's just a radio. It's got this little button here. No, that's not a button. That's a light. I don't know. We'll clean it up, put some new batteries in it, see if we can get it to work again. Yeah, this thing is definitely a radio, because as I was undoing the screws, you know, one here and one here to take it out, I noticed this thing. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is an antenna. It's got to be. So I guess this thing is a functional radio. How functional, I don't know. I guess we'll find out when I get some batteries in it. But yeah, this thing is definitely a radio. Now here's something interesting. I don't know what this was originally. I mean, the stickers are long gone. I just assumed that this was molded in, but as it turns out, it's actually something removable. It's like a radio block-off plate. I wonder what went there, if anything did go there. I mean, maybe this thing had some sort of option you could get. Just like a real car, it's got options. That's funny. I'll have to look that up later, see if I can figure out what the deal was. I pretty much got the dashboard disassembled. I'm not sure what the next step is. Kind of an impasse, but I guess I'll take the mirrors off next. Looks like it's just 4 screws. Yeah, it's 4 screws like I thought. Same size as all the others, except for the ones on the radio are a different size, but so far all of them are the same size. I mean, even the mounting screws for the antenna, you know, there were a couple. In fact, I'll go ahead and take that one out. I figure if you're gonna, I might lose one of the process. If you're gonna buy one of these for a truck, chances are you've already got them. So I'll just keep them along so I got some spares. So yeah, they've all been the same size except for those 4 on the radio. Moving on. All right, to remove the last bit of the wiring harness, I'm gonna have to take this guy off. Probably some tabs underneath. This is the first real good look I've gotten at the shell. I'm not going to be using the whole shell. I'm just going to be using basically everything in front of the most of what's in front of the C pillar or A pillar, as it were. I might be. I'm going to use the rear end too, and as for the middle, I don't know. I'm going to be cutting out a lot of the middle. I might try to use the doors. The doors are not open. You know, they don't open like on some of these, but I would like to possibly use them if I can, because a lot of Transformers, they have the doors like hang off the shoulder, you know, and I think that'd be a cool detail. I don't know. I might not be able to salvage them. It might not be practical for the, you know, the costume and moving around. This thing's going to be hard to move around in as it is, but we'll see. We'll see. Now this is another weird thing I noticed. I don't know if this thing will get into focus here. You know what, I'll push it so you can see it better. I'm sitting in the shade here. There you go. Okay, now you should be able to see it. See, I've got this area here where there was a sticker I just peeled off. Now that itself is not interesting, but what is interesting is that underneath it there's another outline here. I wonder if this body was also used on like a regular F-150, and that's where the badge would go. It seems to be molded into the plastic. This is just, you know, it was masked off, and this, you know, this part got faded and this part didn't. But there's definitely a ridge that was part of the mold. Makes me wonder if this mold was originally intended for a regular F-150, or if they did do another F-150 with the same mold. I don't know. This may not be interesting to you, but it is interesting to me how, you know, manufacturers do stuff like this. Okay, back to business here. I'm trying to get the that same bracket off, and man, to get it off, I'm gonna have to get up in there. Come on, focus camera. Come on. Well, okay, you can kind of see it now. That dark, there it goes. That dark spot there, that's the tab that I'm gonna have to get at. To get to that, I guess I'm just gonna have to take the wheels off. It's not a big deal. These things, just have to take the hubs off. You know, the other one, the hubs were already gone, or already off because the guy forgot them. This one, I just got to pop the hubs off, take the wheels off. Hopefully it won't be too hard to get at. May have hit my first major roadblock here. I got the hubs off, no problem, but now there are these little caps I got to remove. And I know that they're not like, it doesn't appear to be like a locking cap because I lifted the thing up, and I'll see if I can do it. I don't know how well I can do it with one hand, but yeah, as you can see, that center part is not moving. So it's just a little thing I'm gonna have to pop off. I've got some pliers, I can probably do the job. I'd like to salvage it if I could, because even though I'm keeping the wheels for the costume, I am trying to save as much of the reusable parts as I can to try to get some of my money back, offset the cost of the rest of the stuff I'm gonna have to buy. Ladies and gentlemen, I am at an impasse. I'm having a hell of a time trying to get this thing off. The other, the black thing, this had one of them on, the other side had one of them on too. Came off without too much trouble, but I got this little metal washer that just refuses to come off. I've looked at a few different tutorials. I don't know, a couple of them suggested using a heat gun, but A, I think that the ones they were working on had a plastic version of this washer, and B, because this is metal, to really get it pliable, I'd have to heat it up enough that I'd risk damaging the plastic wheel. I mean, this is chrome, but it's all plastic. I don't want to do that. I mean, I've already obviously caused some damage trying to get it off, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be covered up by the hubcap anyway. But I don't want to cause damage that does matter, so I'm not sure what to do. For now, I'm going to focus on just trying to get the steering assembly off. I've taken off enough of the top end that I should be able to do that now, and maybe I'll figure out something as I'm taking it off, or maybe I'll be able to get a better angle on it with the axle removed. We'll see. I guess I should document this. I'm taking off the I'm not sure what you would call this. I believe this is what holds the battery in. I don't need it for the costume, but it's just got these two big screws that are different sized. It's another thing I guess I'll be throwing online, try to get some of my money back. Still haven't gotten those wheels off, but I did finally manage to pop this thing out. That was a pain in the butt, because it slides in here into these things, and to get to those things I had to reach way up into the fender. I finally managed to poke it out using my flathead, but okay, that's one less thing to worry about. I don't know, I need to stew on this wheel thing. I think maybe next I'll try to remove these door card pieces. I'm not going to need them for the costume, but I'm happy to get a few bucks from online. We'll see. Negative, I am going to need to keep them, because to reattach if I do end up keeping this part, which I may or may not, I don't really need it to hold up the windshield, and the windshield is strong enough here. I could add some pipe. If I sell the dashboard, then I'll sell these too, because the reason I might need to keep these is that the screw that goes in here, this is the post for it. So yeah, there's that. Still not sure. It'd be a lot less trouble for me to just replace the windshield piece with something clear. Again, I'm not entirely sure how the costume's going to come together. I may just forego the windshield entirely and just have this, the front clip be the chest piece, and my torso will go where the windshield is. We'll see. But anyway, these things are, long story short is, these parts are yin and yang. If I keep one, I have to keep the other. Or rather, if I keep this, I have to keep this. I don't really care about this. I'd rather sell that to somebody who needs it. I don't know if it's a part that breaks or what, but we'll see. Taking out the door card, yeah, as you can see, it's got two tabs, and there's a third one there. The first two popped out okay. This one's a pain in the butt, though. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pry the red plastic back, since well, I don't know. It's not as big of a deal if I hurt the red plastic. I don't want to hurt the black plastic, because I might be selling this part on. So just a heads up, this third tab in the front, on that corner for the other side. Yeah, sorry folks, I had to wipe my brow. Is a little thicker than the others, so you might have to wiggle it around a bit. I don't know. We'll see. Ignore that last video. It did just pop right out. Okay, so I got that side out. Now I'm going to get this side, and it'll be the same. It's just 3 tabs. Oh, there's the third one. And that one, on the other side, this one that I'm pointing at, gave me a little trouble. So just a heads up, you might have to yank on it a bit, but it's pretty resilient. It shouldn't break. I mean, if this one's been sitting in the Arizona sun for several years, so if this one doesn't break, yours probably won't. Went ahead and popped out the door handles too. Whether or not I decide to incorporate the doors into the design of the costume, or I decide to sell them, either way, these had to come out, because if I sell them, I sell them. If I decide to use them, I'm going to have to repaint them. And these guys are really easy to pop out. You know, just 2 tabs with a little hook here. You got to bend back a bit, but it shouldn't give you any trouble. Okay, I finally, now that I got that, you know, that you can see it there in the middle, that piece there that I finally managed to get it. I can get to the screw, and once I undo that screw, the front axle should just pop right out, and that'll be the end of the teardown on the shell. But again, I still need to get those wheels off. But for now, I can only do what I can do. While I mull over how to get those washers off, I've started to disassemble some of the smaller parts to prep them for painting. I took the bumper from the front end, and it had a Fisher-Price brake there. It uses these things, you know, just part of it to mount through those holes. Unfortunately, one of them broke as I was gently tapping out with a hammer. You know, again, Arizona sun. But I think I can salvage it. What I'll probably do is I'll wash it up, glue it back on, and then repaint the thing. See if I can. You know, I've got reds, whites, and blues lying around. I could probably do a pretty good job. You know, might be got a couple bucks for it. We'll see. All right, so I finally figured out. This thing should just pop right off with some pliers, and I'll do that, and then I'll show you how to get the washer off underneath. So you see I already got the one on the other end. So yeah, I'll pop this off. And to pop that off, you can just pinch it with some pliers and pull it off. It should just pop off. So let's see if I can do it for you and show you. It's hard to film and do it at the same time. Just get one of those headband things. Ow! Ah! Crap. I nicked myself with this pair of pliers has a wire cutting blade on it. I'm okay. It just pinched me a little bit. It's not bleeding or anything. Anyway, I'm just gonna pull it off. It'll pop right off. It's just hard for me to film and do it at the same time. All right, so I got the cap off. Now what I'm gonna do, hold still for a second, there we go. Just take a pair of wire cutters and grip it. You know, grip one end of the washer and then just yank it off. I may need to bend it up with a pair of pliers first. Yeah, so I'm just gonna. That's all there is to it, you know. You just gotta grip it with a pair of wire cutters and yank it off. It's very easy. It's just hard for me to film and do it at the same time. So I'm gonna do it, and then I'll get back to you. Oh man. Okay, it took me a few tries, but I got it off. I ended up just kind of cutting it and peeling it off, but it's easy. It's fairly easy. It's just got to keep at it. So that's it. I mean, I've got everything broken down pretty much. Those mirrors I'm gonna have to take apart a little more for the painting, but for now I'm just gonna leave them alone, so I'm not losing anything. There's the pile of parts over there I'm not gonna be using. If anybody watches, needs anything, hit me up. I'm gonna after I clean up here, I'm gonna look for a message board, just try, you know, chat people up, see if anybody's interested in these parts. But that's it. That is everything you need to know about stripping one of these things down to the tub. Thanks for watching.